happening and why the stunning drop to now below $69 a barrel?
This is really unbelievable. If you want one number that crystallizes everything that Jennifer Griffin and Trey Yingst and Jillian were just saying, it's the oil price right now. We are in the 60s, okay? We are at a lower oil price right now than we were when President Trump took office. And in the context of the last 48 hours, in the context of the last week and a half, it's almost mind-boggling that the oil price, West Texas Intermediate, would have a 6 handle on it. Meantime, you've got the Dow up 200, 300 points at one point today. What it tells you is the risk premium on oil, the risk premium that traders are assessing on Middle Eastern activities, conflict, is basically draining out as we speak. Remember, we've been talking about the threat of Iran maybe going after the Strait of Hormuz. As oil ticks down, what it's telling you is the folks who monetarily have the biggest stake in the game in oil are saying, we don't think Iran's going to do that in any meaningful way. Stock investors are saying all the risks of inflation that we were baking in that were maybe causing markets to go down, that's draining out of the system. This is really... These numbers tell you that the people who make it a professional endeavor to assess risk in the world are saying at this moment, risk in the Middle East is diminishing because of what Israel's accomplished, because of what the United States and this president have accomplished, and what it's meant to Iran. Clearly, Iran has gotten a signal that it has not gotten in a very long time.
Absolutely. All right. We also have breaking news. President Trump shocks the world again after 12 tense days between Israel and Iran and the U.S. Trump announced peace. A complete and total ceasefire is now in place, and the haters are speechless. All right, we're about to get into it tonight. It is Monday, and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. All right, of course, as I said, it's Monday, so we have Tyrone Keys joining us tonight from Soldiers of Finance right here on YouTube. All right, we have Yana.
Hello.
And Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
All right. Shelly E is out tonight. She will be back on Wednesday. So we will see her on Wednesday when we are live in studio. But before we light this fire, do your part. As you all come in, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube and Rumble. And if you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat, folks. We see there are over 200 people in the chat already. Guys, as you come in, hit that like button. It really helps to get us out in front of the masses. YouTube does not want to see us thrive, folks. So we need your help to get us out in front of many people as possible. All right. And again, we love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everyone, let's set it off. And tonight is a special night to set off because we have a brokered peace. So President Trump posted on Truth Social that Israel and Iran have agreed to a complete and total ceasefire. The deal includes a phased 24-hour wind down. Iran starts the ceasefire first. Israel follows 12 hours later. After 24 hours, the 12-day war, as President Trump called it, will be officially over. As you all can see, that is Trump's message for today. He says, upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. Congratulations to everyone It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. In approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. For 12 hours, at which the point war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. He also goes on to talk about how we will remain peaceful and respectful. He closes it out by saying, God bless everyone. He says, God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. God bless the world. All right. I want to get you on this first, Nicole. What are your thoughts over this news?
It's amazing. It is simply nothing short of amazing. You know, so many political pundits and so many, you know, Facebook warriors and keyboard warriors had this pegged as America's starting World War III. There's going to be blood in the streets, boots on the ground, and not the dancing kind. There were going to be people all over the place across the world dragged into this massive death. And what did we have? None of it. What we had is diplomacy working, peace through strength. Trump came in and said, you guys keep doing this, I'm going to have to spank you. You're going to get spanked. They effed around and they found out. And look what we have now. There's a chance for actual peace in the Middle East. I understand that Gaza, that Hamas is in Egypt trying to bring an end to that part of the war. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Donald J. Trump, the American president who brought peace to the Middle East? Who are we going to knock off of Mount Rushmore first to put Trump on? Oh, we knock somebody off. Pick a person. Yes. Pick a person, knock off and put Trump on.
He deserves it. He deserves it. We have some super chats here. Thank you all so much. All right. We have here Gimpy with the $5 super chat says, we survived World War III and you got was this stupid super chat. Oh, okay. Yes, Gimpy. Thank you so much. He did it and they wouldn't give him a chance. This is what you guys know I'm petty and I'm going to be petty tonight. And so I am actually holding it back, but the pettiness will come out tonight. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says, let's get it, ladies. And Tyrone, my Poppin' Politics family, to God be the glory. Thank you so much. Amen. Thank you. Yes. Yana, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, with peace in the Middle East, with the Islamic world, it can only come through strength. So that is why we have peace right now, because President Trump showed strength. And I hope that it's lasting, because that's the thing with the Middle East. You always have to be stronger than them. You always have to be showing that you're stronger and you're ready to act. Otherwise, they're just waiting. They're waiting and they're gathering, they're regrouping. That's really what they're doing the whole time. So this peace, I do hope it's lasting, but it's going to be up to the United States and Israel to continue to show strength, and also up to the Iranian people to maybe do something within the country that might provide a more lasting peace.
Yes, Tyrone. Not only do we have peace, but the markets have been remarkable. Absolutely. We have oil prices are down 7.5%, as we heard at the top of the show. I believe the market is doing well also. It's according to CNBC, global benchmark fell by 4.35%. Okay, that was the oil. And then they're saying that the Dow Jones jumped by 300 points. What is going on, Tyrone?
Stability. The world is looking at the United States back in a leadership position. And they're also looking at Donald Trump and saying, you know, this guy wants to make money, not war. Okay. He wants prosperity and peace. We got this mistaken impression when we came out of World War II that war causes economic prosperity. But that was an anomaly. World War II was an anomaly, okay, and the aftermath of it. We saw it in Vietnam. We saw in the Gulf War. You know, Bush was riding high on the Gulf War, but he was a one-term president because he had a recession. So Trump thoroughly understands that what the world really desires is peace and prosperity. And as Yana said, and I actually think that the Middle East I think they are a more accurate reflection of the human condition when they look at strength as something to be respected. That's something we lost sight of in the West. And now we've got Trump back. We haven't seen anything like this since Reagan. Okay. And I would dare say that, you know, the way we speak of Reagan today, I think that's going to need to be changed to speaking of Trump in that way. I think he's taken that strength mantle to another level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if you, to the audience, if you don't like petty, sign off, because I am about to get very petty right now. I am not above it. Unfortunately, I am not a saint. I never have said I am. And so now it is about to get petty. All right. We have a super chat right here talking about the pettiness, I believe. I thought I saw somebody say, I am here for the petty. We also have to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Psalms 122:6. All right. Yes. Thank you so much. I think that was Abba's child. Yes. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat. Yeah. Okay. So we had a lot. I mean, folks, come on now. We expect the left, the Democrats, the people who hate America to push back against us, to push back against Trump, because they don't want to see us succeed. And we see today that a lot of them are upset because President Trump has brokered this peace. We have seen the ceasefire. What he said, what he did worked. Okay. But we got some panicking. We have a lot of panicking in the midst, brothers and sisters, that were not, it's one thing to question. It's one thing to question. It's another to actually root for President Trump to fail. And that is something that I do not like. And I hate to say it, but we got to talk about our sister, Candace Owens. We got to talk about her. Here she is in this clip. Take a look. This is clip 14.
LG19 writes, serious question. Will there be jobs or community military members can join when I get a dishonorable discharge for not contributing to delete people or my body for the interests of a certain foreign nation benefit? I love this question. I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land? You now have the benefit of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving their country, whatever. And these people gave up their lives. And ask yourselves, for what? And the answer to that question is for the elites. They're like toy soldiers. And I would have said a few weeks ago that Trump would never do that to you. He would never just throw you into an Israeli war. But right now, our planes are flying in the sky, and things are going nuclear. So I don't have that confidence anymore. And I'm comfortable with people being dishonorably discharged because the dishonor has come from our politicians. The dishonor has come from our politicians who routinely lie in our faces and are willing to let us die to serve their financial interests. So why don't they dishonorably discharge themselves from public office?
What happened to her? What happened to her, Nicole? That is shameful. That is shameful. That is more than questioning, is this the right path? Is President Trump on the right, right side of history? That is more there. That is shameful. That is terrible what she said there. What happened to her? What happened to these mannequins?
It's the anti-Semitism that she's always had. That's not new. This 12-day war gave her a platform.
President Trump isn't Jewish.
Right, but he is a friend of the Jewish people, right? He's Jewish adjacent. When Trump had nothing to do with Israel, Candace was rocking hard for him. Then she saw him with Bibi. Then him and Bibi started having conversations. And suddenly, she was getting a little iffy on Trump. But this is who she is. She's an anti-Semite, plain and simple. She does not like the Jewish people. She has no respect for the Jewish people. And honey, it's showing. It's showing every day. And now that he has definitively brought peace, she's backpedaling so fast there's a damn breeze. She's talking about, well, bookmark this tweet so when it all falls apart, you all can come back here and say you're sorry. Honey, ain't nobody coming back. Nobody coming back. If you're a fan of Candace Owens because of some of her other conservative takes, go with God. Again, you don't have to agree with everybody's everything. 80%, call it a win. But when it gets to a point where they choose their hate over supporting our nation, there's something wrong there.
Yeah, something wrong, Yana. I mean, she was calling first. She questioned President Trump's resolve, questioned, his love for the country. She called him deranged. What has he done that's been deranged? You can disagree with what you can question the what he's done, but does he deserve that? What has he done? He's been right. If you go through history, it's particularly about foreign policy. He was right about Iraq. He was right about Afghanistan. He was the only one on stage back when they was battling the establishment, Bushes and all of them, saying they were wrong about 9/11. He has been correct. And to do this,
I think Candace is a narcissist. She wants attention above everything. So when she came out as this Black conservative, she was very outspoken and she loved the attention that she was getting. And then she needed to, I guess, change up her message to continue to receive more and more attention. So she has to say these shocking things. She likes to outrage people because it's getting her and she likes to present herself as this above everyone in super intelligent human being, which she is not. I mean, nobody, no one is perfect. Yes, people can have some strengths and weaknesses, and she puts herself as she has no weaknesses whatsoever. She's super smart and she knows everything best. She is the one who is deranged. And right now, what she said in that address to the public, that was anti-American. I would expect that from an immigrant, like a politician who, we're going to talk about some today. So someone who maybe is not, hasn't really fit into the American society, was not born here, or family is not from here, but from someone who was born here, and how she used to praise America. And now she went completely anti-American in that message. It's shameful.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrone, okay, I don't know if I'm going to go so far as calling her anti-Semitic, but I do feel like she does not like Jews. She has an issue with Jews. She has an issue with Israel. But what she said there, I mean, again, what Yana said, that was anti-American. And another thing, before I want to get your point on this, because initially when she came out, she was very critical of the Black community. I didn't actually have a problem with that because I felt like we need to be critical of our own. So she was out here calling out us, talking to us. She's a Black woman talking to us about changing how we vote, about changing how we act, the culture, all of it, calling out the Christian church, the black church. Yes, do it, because you're black. We need to call out our community. But this thing on the Jews, I don't understand it. I really don't. What are your thoughts there?
I don't get it. I will say this. It's obvious she does not understand the ramifications of a dishonorable discharge.
Exactly.
And I sure hope no one listens to her who is in the military, because that would devastate the rest of their lives, basically. But it's funny. I've never paid attention to her. The first thing I listened to her on, I was on the tractor last week and I listened to one of her interviews with Harvey Weinstein. Okay, because it was a long form interview. I was going to be out there for a while. And I just left that with the impression that, wow, she is on the wrong side of everything. Okay. Defending this monster Weinstein, the path that she's taken, she's so focused on the Jewish people that she won't even entertain alternative theories. Like, I think Israel came along on this. I think the reason why Trump did this had more to do with strengthening the relationship with Saudi Arabia to maintain the petrodollar arrangement that we've had. That's what I think this had to do.
And that's major. You were talking about this on Soldiers of Finance, the petrodollar that we lost, correct?
And because they were going to start denominating oil sales in other currencies. He went over there, got a hero's welcome in Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Emirates. There was an attack. Iran attacked Saudi Arabia's oil fields in 2019, and Trump did not respond. And they interpreted that as a breach in the petrodollar security agreement. This restores that. Okay. Israel came along for the ride. Everybody's saying that we've, followed Israel, and this whole thing was planned to restore America's economic hegemony. Okay. And now you're going to have, because Trump and Salman talked about this, you're going to have the oil priced in dollars again. You might see some little fringe transactions with the yuan, but we're back as far as the dollar. And this action in Iran that we prosecuted restores that. She can't even think outside of the box long enough because she's so focused on whatever bias she has against the Jewish state.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Tyrone, because Trump just visited Saudi Arabia, and he had an amazing reception there. And Saudi Arabia, always been interesting to me. I actually have a degree in Middle East, and I studied Saudi Arabia because, it is the hub, the Muslim hub, where the religious hub. And they actually changed a lot in the last 20 years. Saudi Arabia is not the same country anymore. In fact, the prince that they have right now, he has made so many reforms, and it's so much more open. And he really wants, I think, one interesting thing about Saudi Arabia is that you're not allowed to walk around with the Palestinian, any kind of symbolism. That it's actually not legal. So I thought that was really interesting. So they want to be in harmony with the West, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Again, I am all for questioning leadership. I am all for that. I am all for, saying, hey, is this something else we need to look at? But this, again, what she did and some others was anti-American. It was as if they were wanting us to lose. And once again, Trump has shown that America first doesn't mean America alone. It means strong deals, not endless wars. And the so-called experts, these panicans is what I'm calling them, the panicans, the Republicans, and these anti-American leftists, they mocked him. And he is proven once again he can deliver where they have failed. They have failed. And so from this point on, I don't want to hear her type another letter. I don't want to hear her type a point on Twitter until she says, I was wrong and you were right and I crossed the line. That's what I want to see her type. That's what I don't want to hear from her heavy tongue.
She'll never do it. She'll never. She was
she'll
implode. She'll implode if she's wrong. She can never accept being wrong.
She's not capable of that, KJ, but I love your passion. Absolutely love your passion. I wish Shelly was here to see it so me and her could kind of giggle in the back.
I know Shelly would be on all 10.
On her like white on rice. But here's the thing. There are people who like some of her other takes. Some of the other things that she has to say about conservative politics, about religion. And believe it or not, there are people who agree with her about Israel and the war. And again, she's entitled to her opinion. She's entitled, and the people who like that can follow that. But when they talk about conservative leaders who are kind of breaking MAGA into pieces, that part bothered me. That part bothered me because it made it easy for the legacy media to say, look, see, they're a bunch of crackpots. Everybody's falling out because they don't agree.
They were using her tweets on Iranian TV.
Yes, on Iranian state TV. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, Nicole, that has me so upset. Again, I was a huge fan of Candace Owens. Mm-hmm. You know, I think she started many people on their conservative journey, particularly Black Americans. But what we have seen from her within the last year is just bizarre. And it makes me question things that I agree with her on as well, because it's like, well, she loses legitimacy to me. She loses, she's inconsistent. And so then I'm like, well, if she's doing that about this, then how can I even trust her? You know, how can I even, go along with her on these other things? This is what it's done. And I said this about the whole Kanye thing. You know, she preaches modesty and she preaches, all this stuff. And she's never said anything about this man who, literally last week, he's walking around with a half naked woman. I'm not even gonna go down that road, but again, it's just, it really makes me question many of the things she has said. And this is coming from someone who has been a supporter, so I don't want to go too long on this, but you're right, Nicole. It's almost making me, question, like, is she like a plant? Like, is she someone who was trying to break up MAGA, like trying to splinter the conservative movement that President Trump has built and has worked so hard to bring America first? Is that what this is?
I think not. I think that what it is, there's a such thing as conservative ink. Okay. There are these platforms and personalities that need, above all things, to stand out in order to generate revenue. So I think that that's part of her issue, is that, she needs to keep generating revenue. So she needs to keep being sensational, and she doesn't care. The conservative ink doesn't have a true ideology other than make money. Okay.
Self-serving. I think she's self-serving at this point.
Yeah.
I hope that's not. I hope that's a sellout then. And I really hope that is not the case, where she has sold out to something. And I hope that's not it. So, it may be, but I really do. I hope that's not it, because that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. So folks, we will continue to watch this. And this is what we do. We are just everyday Americans who love America, we're patriots who love America, and we're here for the truth wherever it leads. This is what we do here on Poppin' Politics. Wherever it leads, we are here for the truth. And I pray to God that is never the case for any of us, that we, get so wrapped in the money. We're not making really money, really, but, we hope to one day, make a good amount of money. But we don't want to do that. And I pray God keeps us in pursuit of the truth, and I really do. So we have some super chatters. Oh, go ahead.
All I'm going to say is when Soldiers of Finance takes off, the only thing that's going to change is my chinchilla will drag the floor. Other than that, I'm going to be the same guy.
Yes, indeed. All right. Yes, we have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. Let's see here. We have Pamela Kenny with the $5 super chat. Says KJ coming in hot with the pettiness. I am petty Betty tonight. All right. Gimpy says the cope and seethe is epic today. Yes, yes. JT with the $5 super chat says, hey, KJ, put that finger away. We didn't speak such nonsense. All right. I'm settled down now. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says, sorry, Candace, you were wrong on this one. Read your Bible more. Start with Genesis 12:2-3. Yep, that's true. Yep. Yeah, we talked about this last night on KJ Christian Conservative. Folks, check out that channel right here on YouTube. That is our sister channel here, where we talk about politics from a biblical perspective at KJ Christian Conservative. And then tomorrow on the All American Talk Show right here, another sister channel of ours, they have an Iranian American. All her family is right in Iran, and she is going to talk about how many of the Iranian people were supporting President Trump. So that's something for you there. That's on the All American Talk, at All American Talk, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. So you got to check that out. Pamu says, had to donate again after that read by Nicole. All right. Yes, indeed. Relena with the $5 super chat says, Candace, Tucker, etc. are just rich influencers and grifters. They are not our MAGA leaders. Wow. Red Cup talks with Mika. All right.
Hey, Mika.
Yes, says, keep up the awesome work, ladies. Thank you, Mika.
Thank you, Mika, so much.
Yes, indeed. We certainly will. And we appreciate each and every super chat. It goes a long way in helping us produce conservative content. And just want to talk just a little bit about some of the people. Oh, this is our merch, guys. You can check out our merch store at poppinpoliticslive.com. You can grab a shirt, sweatshirt, t-shirt, mug to show your support, and also send a message to people in kind of a funky, classy way. So yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. All right. I think we have another super chatter here, or super sticker, I should say. Thank you so much, Iris, with your $3 super sticker. Thank you. Yes. So just want to read over some of the other tweets that were pushed out. Tulsi Gabbard, class act of a lady, because there seemed to be a little, I'll say, miscommunication in the recent days between her office and President Trump. He came out in the media and said that she was wrong. The intelligence was wrong about Iran having nuclear capabilities. But she said today only President Trump could have achieved this historic ceasefire agreement that brings us closer to peace. It was a Herculean effort that deserves the thanks of all the people of Israel, Iran, Middle East America, the entire world. Congratulations and thank you. Yes, indeed. That
whole thing between that tiff between Trump and Tulsi, total theater. That was all, just like they put that report out that there were B-2s crossing the Pacific when in fact they were going the other way. This entire thing was a masterful display of misdirection by the Trump administration. They used the media, to psych out Iran and make them think something was happening other than what did happen. And they rightfully didn't tell key Democrats like Big Mouth Jasmine Crockett or Eric Swalwell is out there complaining that he didn't know. Eric, you had a Chinese, you were in a Chinese honeypot, you would have told Fang Fang in exchange for her taking her sock off, that's all he needed from her. in order to spill all the beans. So that whole thing with Tulsi, that was just part of this whole misdirection that they played the Democrats and the media to their advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, they did. They certainly did. Even Ted Cruz came out today. Remember, he had a contentious interview with Tucker Carlson. And he said, "Bravo, Mr. President. It turns out, as I argued at length, that Tucker was wrong and President Trump was right." So there, Ted Cruz with the petty. He is being petty there. And I'm not blaming him. I blaming him because he has been a staunch supporter of President Trump and his agenda. So I see you all sounding off in the chat, folks. As you come in, please hit that like button. We have over 1,000 people watching. We do not have as many likes. Please hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out to a wider audience. We are trying to grow this channel. We want to hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of, we would like to hit it by the end of the summer. So please help us hit that like button and subscribe. All right. And drop your thoughts. I see you guys sounding off. Are you still Team MAGA? Are you still Team America? How many patriots do we have here? What do you think about the panicans? What do you think about these anti-American leftists that we're going to talk about in a few? Because New York is in trouble.
But desperate trouble. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yes, they are. So let's get on to it. So we want to talk about, I want to bring this clip here of Scott Jennings, another patriot, folks. I mean, Scott Jennings has been supporting President Trump and the conservative agenda amongst these leftists for the last year or so. Take a look at this. Here he is again, clip 6.
And I think, Seth Moulton spoke to this. If this, in fact, effectively sets back the program and doesn't lead to wider escalation, the president seems to have accomplished all the objectives that he set out to achieve.
Of course. I told you yesterday I didn't think we were at war and that this represented a de-escalation of the situation. And that's exactly where we are with this flaccid Iranian response. In the words of the great boxer Roberto Duran, no mas, no mas. That's what Iran is saying after Israel has degraded their military capabilities and the president of the United States has taken away their ability to make nuclear weapons. This is capitulation, in my opinion, from Iran today, and it is a complete and total vindication of the Trump strategy, which was to let Israel beat these guys to a pulp. We show up and take away their nukes. Yes, let's have a deal now. I think it'd be great to have a deal with Iran about right now.
Lulu, what do you think?
Yes, indeed. Nicole, I mean, this man needs his own show. He needs his own show.
I love Scott, but I think I love Scott better on their show, bringing them all to heel, right? Mm-hmm. Because without him there, that show is just the view light. Do you know what I mean? He brings honesty and a sense of purpose to these shows. And I hope they're paying him god awful money for doing it. He is really in the belly and the beast with these people. But I wanted to say, President Trump, when he made his comment about all the MAGA stuff that was going on, I think he brought it to a fine head. He said, I am the MAGA movement. It's my movement. And that, to me, settled a lot of these little Marjorie Taylor Greens and all these people who were bubbling up. He was like, not today. Y'all don't know the whole story. You don't know what's going on. Let it play out. And here we sit. It's played out masterfully. Not one drop of American blood spilled. This is a beautiful thing. And peace in the Middle East. And Scott Jennings still talking trash to him on CNN. Are you tired of winning yet? I'm not tired.
No.
I'm starting to get weary from the wins. Come on, y'all. If you can't,
I'm never tired.
Win, woo.
Yes,
Trump
indeed.
Killing the game. This is amazing.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Absolutely
he is.
Amazing.
And Yana, I want to get your perspective. And folks, for you who don't know, because a lot of people think Yana is Latino. She's a Latina, but no, Yana is Russian. Yana, what do you think? What are the Eastern European audience or perspective? What are they saying? Because there was a lot of talk about Putin actually, helping Iran, actually getting in there and possibly supplying some type of military support. What are your thoughts there?
Well, they're business partners for sure, Russia and Iran. And The thing with Russia is that, well, Putin, he has been building this, he has another idea of how the world should operate. He wants a multipolar world where each country has, their strength, and, well, I think he wants to have strength that's equal to America, which is understandable. I mean, Russia is a great nation with great history and a lot of pride. So that's what he wants, and he wants to have influence in the Middle East. And also, when Russia is being cut off from the West, of course, Russia is going to go to China, to Middle Eastern countries, and build these alliances. So, Putin or the foreign ministry of Russia has responded to the situation in Iran. Not favorably. And they have said this is something against the UN Charter and things like that. So, of course, they have to say this because they are in partnership with Iran. They have to, keep this friendly relations with Iran, and that's expected. And people who support Putin, they completely agree with his statements, and they'll just follow what he says. Um, I mean, that's just, people see politics differently in different parts of the world. But to me personally, I don't understand how Russians can be so pro an Islamic regime. That I don't understand. Like, geopolitically, okay, you have, partners here and there, but a very Islamist regime where Russia itself has suffered attacks from Islamists. And Iran can easily turn on other countries like that are more pro-Russian. They're right next to Azerbaijan. They have infiltrated, in fact, Azerbaijan and other nations in order to radicalize them. So, and I honestly think Putin understands this. And for Putin and for Russia in general, we have a saying that the East is a delicate matter. And we got to deal with the East delicately. In Russia is literally in between East and West. And they have always been stuck in between. And they want to be in control of that region. So the response is just logical to them.
All right. Yeah, Tyrone, what are your thoughts then on this as far as the economic? I know we did talk about how the markets are doing much better, and because I had someone on my Facebook page today actually say that the world is a much more dangerous place because since Trump's leadership. Somebody said that, and I asked them to provide some data to back that up, and they didn't. But you still have people that are saying these things.
Look, at this point, we're living in a world where a lot of people are just being left behind because the world is a very complex place.
Right.
And like Candace Owens, if you're just stuck on a one-track thing and your mind does not explore the different nuances and permutations of history, the economy, geopolitics, I guess you would think, and you think that history began with the day you were born. You do think that the world is a more dangerous place now. And in fact, the opposite is true because Trump has at least seriously delayed Iran's march toward a nuclear weapon, okay, which would have really made the world a dangerous place, considering that they are extremely belligerent, have been for 40 years now.
Right.
And when they say death to America and death to Israel, when people tell you who they are, believe them, okay? So I think, again, that this strike was executed perfectly. And if you're an American and you're not sleeping well at night with this guy in the White House, then you never will.
Exactly. You get no rest.
Yep, absolutely. And I see the chat is sounding off talking about the Hodge twins, with Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and even the Hodge twins, which, these two big buff, hunks of meat. And as soon as President Trump started talking about, war, or not even war, but, getting on these terrorists and talking about getting tough, they got soft like two hunks of butter. I said, my goodness, you think these are strong country boys. As soon as Trump starts talking about them, getting tough on stuff, they turn into soy boys. I was really surprised at them, how they turned on President Trump.
Too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, it's sort of like, these people scream MAGA, MAGA forever for clicks. But when, the going gets tough, as we say, the rubber meets the road, they're like, again, soft like butter. Two big, light, bright sticks of butter. So I was very surprised, and it wasn't funny to me. I used to laugh at them, but when I realized they didn't have much of a backbone, again, like two sticks of light butter, I really got turned off with them. So I hope they come around as well. I forgot about them. The chat is going off about them, and you all are right. They softened up like two sticks of butter left out on the countertop. So we will see. Again, speaking of, people who talked out about this was Hakeem Jeffries. And he even said that what President Trump did was unconstitutional. Take a look. This is clip 4.
Donald Trump and his actions, which do not appear to be consistent with the United States Constitution, takes unilateral offensive military action without seeking the approval of the United States Congress. The use of military force, which is offensive in nature, must be approved by the House and the Senate. That's according to the Constitution. It's not optional, Donald. It's not. The framers of the Constitution actually gave Congress the power to declare war for a reason. So the American people, through their elected representatives, would have the opportunity to debate the issue and make some decisions as it relates to what's in the best interest and the national security of the American people. Donald Trump and the administration chose to ignore the Constitution. And so they're going to have to come before Congress and explain their justification for an offensive military strike against Iran.
All right. So again, first of all, you respect the office. It's Mr. President. It's not Donald. Okay. So put some respect on that man's name. All right. He certainly deserves it. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. Before we do, we got some super chats here, folks. Thank you all so much. All right. Let's see here. Kung Fu CJ says Trump called Bill B for that misdirection. All right. Rose Readings, what's your opinion about the amazing Lucas?
He lost it too. That was, I used to listen to this guy a long time ago, and he was a funny, pro-conservative black guy, and he completely, he lost it. Like,
I don't know.
He went off the rails.
Wow. See, when the going gets tough, Lenny Smith with the $10 super chat says, keep up the good work. You guys are news worth watching. Thank you so much. Elva Estrada with the $10 super chat says, keep up the great reporting. Thank you. Jerry Early, $10 super chat says, thank you, ladies, and the soldier of finance. You're right. I thought Yana was Hispanic, but you can hear the Russian accent listening over here. Big Island, Hawaii. Oh, man. I wish I was in Hawaii.
Yeah. I wish I was
sweet. Yes, indeed. With that sweet fruit. Kung Fu CJ, and they are Marines. Oh, he's talking about those two hunks of butter. Yeah, they're Marines. As soon as it gets tough, they start going against President Trump. Well, not over here, and we're ladies, of course, with Tyrone, but we're here all 9 months. We're going without the epidural. We are full natural labor. We are hardcore ladies. We're going to be here to support our conservative men, support our MAGA movement. All right. So give them a chance. This is all I'm saying. Let the man cook. All right. So back to Hakeem Jeffries. And now you heard what he said. He's saying this was unconstitutional. Nicole, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, it's hard to listen to him because he sounds like a really bad slam poet because he's always doing this when he's talking. Bruh. And he's well educated. There's no need for that. Really, just tell us what's on your mind. We can disagree with you and you can be dismissed within 5 minutes. It doesn't take all the breakdancing to say what you got to say. Here's the thing that I really don't like about Hakeem Jeffries. He is always late and about $1 short, about $1 short on all of his opinions. He comes in after everyone else has stuck their neck out and says, wait, I have an opinion. And he kind of leans on the side where he thinks he'll get more Democrat likes and possibly a donor or two. He's not a serious man, not by any stretch of the imagination. And anything that he says outside of the humor should be taken with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
He has no idea what's constitutional or not. I mean,
yeah.
At some point, I'm expecting him to run for a higher office and be, woefully disregarded, and he can just go back to being a social activist.
Yeah, Tyrone. I mean, we've seen other presidents do this without congressional approval, correct?
2011, you saw Obama kill an American, without congressional approval, and his 16-year-old son as well. Anwar al-Awlaki in a drone strike. I don't know. Hakeem always strikes me as sleepy. He's got the sleepy eye look. Yeah. So maybe he was taking a nap in 2011 when this happened, and he doesn't remember how it went down. But look, the Democrats, there are 2 types of Democrats. They're the Stockholm Syndrome Democrats who are sitting around thinking, wow, what the hell happened to the party? It doesn't look the same as it did when I voted for Clinton, or even Obama, really. And then there's the other faction, which is just the Democrats that hate America, and a lot of them are in the Congress of the United States right now. AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries, we got to start calling these people out for what they are. They hate this country. And you can tell that because every single thing that Trump does that is great for this country, they oppose it. He came out and said he wanted to cut prescription drug costs. They had a problem with that. So then they've got to be taken seriously because they do have power, are dangerous. But you got to work hard to make sure they don't get voted in. And for all you Democrats out there, this is not your mother or your father or your grandfather's party. A bunch of American hating Marxists.
Yeah. And on that note, like he said, Yana, the Marxists, we're seeing this more and more in this party. And somehow on our side as well. What are your thoughts there, Yana?
Well, in terms of what Hakeem Jeffries said, this is not war. This was Operation Midnight Hammer.
Love that.
I mean, people said that could be a pickup line.
Yeah, it could be.
Or an invitation to a Diddy party.
Oh my God!
That trial's almost over. It's almost over. We'll know soon.
Yeah. Midnight Hammer. Yeah. I love it.
It was. That's what it was. And so, what is he talking about?
Right.
War. Like we're not at war right now.
No. Right.
Nope, and he didn't declare war. This is the thing. At some point, from a political perspective, at some point, the Democrats are going to have to open up their eyes and say, all right, this man is like a locomotive coming at us, and we're just standing here with picket signs and blue-haired old ladies. We got to figure this out. They would do so much better politically agreeing with some of what Trump says so they could at least begin to chip away at the base just a little bit. Those panicking, as KJ calls them. They may convince a couple of them to jump ship. But in this moment, if you are a red-blooded American, you are loving what Donald Trump has managed to do. If you're someone who never thought that you would see even the hint of peace in the Middle East during your lifetime, this is an epic moment in our history. You know, in a decade, there'll be little kids in 8th grade, and the quiz question will be, tell me who ended the 12-day war.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, we are living through such an important moment in history, and the Democrats get nothing out of it because they're sticking their heads in the sand with their booties up in the air, talking about, oh, we didn't see anything happening. I mean, this has got to change for them, or they'll continue to lose elections. They will continue to lose elections.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of the hammer, let's talk about Pam Bondi. Okay. She was at a hearing today during a House Appropriations Committee hearing, and she brought the hammer like you would not believe against Representative Joe Morrell, a Democrat in New York. Take a look. This is clip 5.
A role here. The committee that I serve on as an authorizer oversees Capitol security as well as federal elections. So I'm closely following the aftermath of January 6th. Recently, several defendants who received presidential pardons related to that day are now arguing in court that the pardon covers crimes like, for instance, illegal firearm possession discovered in a search of an individual's home in California months after January 6th. What's your position on whether the pardons cover these separate offenses?
Yeah, the pardon power rests with the president, not the Department of Justice, and some of that is pending litigation, and I cannot discuss pending litigation.
Well, I'm not asking you about who has the right to a pardon. I think, as the Department of Justice in February wrote, the pardon is an act of grace which removes the punishment from a crime a person has committed. It further said, in its effect, the granting of a pardon is in no sense the overturning of a judgment of conviction. It is an executive action that mitigates or sets aside punishment. So, as the chief law enforcement officer, what's your opinion? Not the president's power of whether he can offer a pardon. That's pretty clear in the Constitution. But for crimes committed unrelated to January 6th, would you suggest that the pardons would cover activities or crimes potentially committed outside of that by the same person?
Well, I don't know if you're referring to Joe Biden pardoning his son after he said he would not pardon Hunter Biden, or the
No, I actually
commutation
referred
of
to
all
January
the
6th. I'm sorry.
all the sentences that
Well,
the people that were on death row. I've met with those families.
No,
and all of those sentences were commuted. I'm not going to comment on pardons on either side of the aisle.
So, well, I'm not asking about either side. I'm asking, you're the chief law enforcement officer in the United States. You have a responsibility directly, but you swore an oath to the Constitution, not the president. Want to know what your views are on the extent to which pardons cover potential crimes committed by individuals who have been pardoned but unrelated to January 6th.
Do you mean the ones that were done by the auto pen? I'm not going to discuss
right.
anything that
Mr.
could
Chairman,
be or not be
I
pending litigation.
respectfully, Ms. DeLauro accused you of filibustering. I think that's the height of filibustering. This is a serious, serious topic. And for you to suggest that you don't have an opinion or to divert to other things that have nothing to do with January 6th pardons, I think is frankly demeaning to your responsibilities and your job. With that, I'll yield back.
Wow. All right. So, Nicole, I mean, what he was describing was really more accurate, or more like she said, to the preemptive pardons. That's what he was, right, but he didn't want to answer that.
Of course he's not going to answer that. What we're going to see in the coming week or so, especially if this ceasefire holds for even a little bit of time, if this ceasefire holds even for a week, you're going to see Democrats bringing up everything. The one time that Abraham Lincoln spit on the sidewalk, I mean, they're going to drag Republicans for filth because they have to have something that they can throw in front of this momentous accomplishment with not one drop of American blood spilled. Not one drop. We were back before the world even knew what happened. I mean, so they're going to bring up January 6th because, you know, that's their talking point. It's a big deal to them. And guess what the American people has said? January what?
Right.
We've moved on.
Yes.
The world has changed significantly. And it is like watching this political party turn into, you know, pillars of salt and kind of just disintegrate in front of our eyes. They don't have any handle on the way our culture is changing. And yes, it is changing fast. But if they took one moment to step away from the hyper partisanship and talk to actual people, they would see they're on the wrong side of history on all of this stuff. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, Yana, I totally agree with what you just said, Nicole. I mean, to me, every time someone, whether I hear a leftist or they bring up some old stuff, I'm going to say all I speak is ceasefire. Ceasefire. They may ask, what is that? I was like, it's a new language. It's called ceasefire. Ceasefire. That's what I'm in my ceasefire moment. This is what I'm talking. This is the energy that I own. It's ceasefire. Yana, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
That was so annoying. It was annoying to listen to him. And it sounds like political persecution. That's what it was with January 6th protesters. And he's talking about going after them for other crimes that possibly came up. That is how political persecution works. When you can't get a person for one crime, you get them for something else because you do not like who they support. And that's it. That's what he is doing. And he's saying this is a serious matter. We have a lot more serious matters. This is non-factor. And she did bring up Hunter Biden and how he was, how did it say, he was pardoned for any potential federal crimes between 2014 and 2024.
Crazy.
How can you compare?
No, there is no comparison. Tyrone, what did you think of that exchange? Did you think that she was right to bring it back to the pardons of Hunter Biden and the rest of them?
Oh, absolutely. And I want to go back briefly to something Yana just brought up in terms of the political persecution aspect of it. And I'm sure Yana is very familiar with Linktree Barrier, who says, show me the man and I will show you the crime, which meant, hey, bring him, I'll get him. You just bring me who you want and I will figure something out. I'll trump something up, no pun intended. And that, I don't even know if a lot of these members of Congress are smart enough to understand that history and how they're on the wrong side of it in terms of thinking in those ways. And any objective person who looks at a lot of what went on with the prosecutions, the January 6th prosecutions, you would have to say this was egregious. And, you know, in many instances, you're showing no mercy to cancer patients who may have walked through a door, or people that were, you know, in the vicinity, didn't even go in the building. A lot of that stuff was just absolute raw political persecution that we're not used to seeing in this country. So, again, just keep your eye on these Democrats. They're telling you who they are, and they are displaying perfectly what they would do if they got back into power. Look at Letitia James. Just go and watch some videos of her. Listen to her cadence and the vitriolic passion in her voice. I mean, this woman is literally foaming at the mouth at the thought of persecuting her political enemies. Okay, she's bad at hiding it. A lot of others are good at hiding.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. We certainly appreciate you. All right, let's see here. We have Lorna with the $10 super chat. Yes. Says Candace's connections with Kanye West and his anti-Semitism and debunked theory about who is a Jew. She wrote an article about the debunked Jewish Karzian theory. Yeah, she has gone so far down the rabbit hole. I'm honestly thinking, is this some type of really heavy postpartum? Sometimes when you have kids like that back to back to back, she's raw down there, and maybe she's got some rawness here that just hasn't been cooked right. I don't know. Folks, I'm trying. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I'm trying to find some excuse for this girl. But something in the buttermilk ain't clean. We have JT Thompson with the $5 super chat. Says people are forgetting this is the second time President Trump has worked wonders in the Middle East. His first term was solid there too. We haven't forgotten, JT. You are absolutely right. Jasper Vetti with the $20 super chat.
Thank you, Jasper.
Yeah, says you could see that Darnocrat had nothing to do. Asking about crimes have nothing to do with January 6th. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. You guys, we really appreciate all your super chats. It helps for us to get out this conservative content. Please, as you all come in, hit that like button. Hit that like button. We really appreciate it, and it helps to get us out to a wider audience. All right, so speaking of these crazy leftists, folks, let me tell you, we are here in Baltimore. It's bad here, but New York is about to get crazy. All right, so tomorrow, New Yorkers could hand the keys to America's greatest city to a man who openly cheers for Hamas and wants to turn New York into Chicago 2.0. Broken, and unsafe. His name is Zohran Mamdani. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I call him Trouble. And he does not belong on the ballot. He's a radical leftist, and he has had a late surge in the polls. Now he is ahead of Cuomo. He's ahead of him. He's leading. And here he is. Take a look. This is clip 2.
For me, when you ask what does it mean to be a democratic socialist, for me it means to be fighting for a society in which dignity is guaranteed to each and every member of this place. And I believe that the state should play a critical role in the distribution of that dignity and the ensuring that that dignity is actually received. This is one case where Republicans would be correct. There are taxes that I want to raise. They would like to portray this as me trying to raise taxes on someone making 50, 60, 70K, which is not the case. What we need to do is raise taxes on those who have more than enough and should share a little bit more with the rest of the society. There's nothing hidden from plain view about who I am and what I want to fight for. I'm not secretly telling everyone I'm a socialist now. This is something we built the campaign around.
Wow, Nicole, he's smiling about this stuff.
I mean, you would smile too. I mean, would you not? I mean, there are clips of him talking to groups of Muslims that are make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. We kind of joke around about, other nations and their immigration woes. But when we take a look at the UK and the absolute takeover by Muslims, leading cities, ushering in Sharia law, that's not something that we can have here in the United States. And people should be very wary of someone who tells you up front that the government is going to issue you your happiness. The government is going to issue you your joy. You should be very, very wary of that. And New Yorkers are tough people. They're smart people. But for whatever reason, they vote in droves in blue. And I know that the Muslims are going to show up in mass for this guy because they think Sharia law could help that city. They may or may not be wrong. They probably could use a little bit of discipline. But this is America, and we are not going to live through what the Brits are living through right now. We're just not going to do that. So I need every right-thinking person in New York to vote. Get out and do your thing. Your choices are pretty bad all the way around. But listen, the devil you don't know may be the worst devil yet. So I'm not saying I'm a Cuomo kind of girl. I'm not saying that. But this guy is telling you up front that he's taking everything you have and redistributing to you in the way that he sees fit.
And you heard what he said. He said, I'm not talking about 50,000, 60,000. Well, I hope you are not. I mean, that ain't no money really in New York City. So he's not talking about the millionaires, multimillionaires, and the billionaires. I mean, he started kind of low to me and talking about taking our money. I mean, Yana,
he didn't talk about taking his own money and distributing it. He didn't cover that part, right?
Right. I mean, Yana, this is a proud member of the Democrat Socialist of America Party. This is the same circus that gave us squad-style policies, defund the police, and economic chaos. Do you think he has a chance?
He might, unfortunately, in New York, he might, because I mean, first of all, he's a total Marxist. I mean, he doesn't hide it. He is an actual proclaimed Marxist. He's a child of Indian Marxists who were Marxists back in India, and then I think they were in Africa at some point. That he was, and so they were total, completely infiltrated with Marxist ideas, and that's how he grew up. And then here in America, I read that he has what did he do? He has a degree in some strange Africana studies. I don't even know what that is. And and he was in college. He was a co-funder for Justice in Palestine movement. And the Marxists are all on these movements. They're, they're working together. And he is very anti-police. He wants to, the reason why a lot of people will come out to vote for him probably is because he says that he wants to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour.
Right. Tyrone, I got to bring you in on that. I mean, $30 an hour minimum wage. He said free city bus rides, replace cops with social workers, rent freezes, universal health care. Tyrone, is any of this doable, and what will the city look like if this is put in place?
I'll answer that, but I just want to first point out how much he has in common with Marx, Engels, Bernie Sanders, AOC. None of these people ever had a real job, okay? And this guy has never had, he called himself a rapper at one point, and he helped produce some record album that his mother was putting together or something. But other than that, that's all he's done. It's like Ryan Dorsey down here in Baltimore City. Clown worked for his uncle's record store. Record, okay? The 1980s technology. And other than that, you can see him biking around Baltimore like Pee Wee Herman. But the thing with, I hope he wins. I sincerely hope he wins. Nicole said New Yorkers are tough and smart. New Yorkers are tough. Smart? I mean, these people have Eric Adams, the disgraced Andrew Cuomo, and an avowed Marxist who's never signed the front or back of a paycheck, apparently. Okay. And New Yorkers are smart.
I just mean politically savvy.
This is what I doubt in any other way. You're living in an overpriced office park that's dirty and dangerous. So I hope he wins because America needs him right now. We need him to get 18 good months in there to destroy New York ahead of the midterms. And I'm willing to sacrifice New Yorkers, okay, to have them usher in more Republicans control in the House and Senate. So what's his name again?
Zohran Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani 2025. I'm behind you, brother. I wish I could vote for you.
Here he is in this next clip. Talk about what Nicole mentioned. Well, before we do, let me go to our super chats. Thank you all so much. All right, let's see here. We have Pastor Damon with the $10 super chat. Says, thank you for exposing the darkness. And Pastor Damon was on with me last night. He was on with us on Christian Conservative at KJ Christian Conservative. Folks, you got to go out back and check out. We have a clip of our segment on Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz interview, and it was on fire. I think we have some people in the chat that watched last night. Pastor Damon was on fire there, folks. It was a great, tremendous conversation. So please go and check it out at KJ Christian Conservative YouTube channel. But yes, I thank you so much. So yeah, we have a problem with this Zohran. Here he is in clip 1. Take a look at him talking about getting out the vote.
Alhamdulillah, there are 1 million Muslims in this city. 200,000 of us are registered to vote as Democrats. In the last election, only 7% of us voted. Now, I will not blame anyone because often it feels like there isn't much to vote for. But this June 24th, with early voting starting tomorrow, it is an opportunity. An opportunity for us to show that Muslims don't just belong in New York City, we also belong in City Hall. Because yesterday I stood on the debate and Andrew Cuomo stood next to me. And here was a man who was the governor for a decade and he could not name a single mosque he had ever visited. He could not name it because he does not care.
All right. Nicole, what are your thoughts on that?
Beware, beware. It's a slippery slope. You think about that epic city they were trying to build in Texas, right? And what Governor Abbott had to do to shut that thing down. People don't think for one second that these people won't use our own laws and our freedom against us. They've done it to the UK.
Right.
When the #1 baby name in the UK is Mohammed.
Yeah. And they're going around. Did you guys see the video of all these Muslims in the UK walking around shirtless, smacking themselves on their chest and pumping up their it's crazy. They're all shirtless and they're smacking themselves really hard in protest of the West. No deodorant, no soap. I mean, this thing is wild. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
I do. William is going to be the last king of England, and he better keep the G5 fueled up and the engine on, okay? Because where the UK is going, he's going to need to be out of there. The monarchy is going to be the first thing they're not going to have that, okay? William is definitely the last king of England,
And I'm sorry, I won't say Muslim. They're Islamists.
Islam is radical Islamicists.
Yeah, radical Islamists.
They're not interested in assimilating into the culture of the UK. They are interested in bringing the culture that they fled into the UK, which is weird. But we see it here with Ilhan Omar.
Right, and we have to be careful here as well. We're a bigger country than the UK, and that's the only reason why we don't have as much of a problem with Islamists. But like we see in New York can be taken over by a Marxist Islamist. Like, that's insane. And we have to be really vigilant about that and come together as, people who are Christian. They have to come together and really understand that there's an attack on the Christian world. I mean, have you seen what happened to Christians in Syria? I'm sorry, in Syria.
Yeah, Syria was Syria. That church. Yeah.
And it was, church was bombed and people were shot. It was a massacre. And we need to have an outcry in the rest of the world from Christians, from just people in general, or something like that. Why isn't there an outcry?
Going on in Nigeria too. Nigeria, they're killing Christians.
Yeah, they've been killing them for years.
And when something happens to the Muslims, they're very together.
They are.
They're very united. The leftists are united. We have to be better at this, at being united.
Right. A large part of the fault lies in we as Christians, because while Muslims and even Islamicists are interpreting their doctrine. We're over here worried about prosperity gospel, and if I give 10%, the master of the universe, God, is going to give me a material good. Okay.
Right.
The black church especially has turned into nothing more than a social club / weekly motivational seminar. And so when you have that, I mean, marching to Jamal, do you think Jamal Bryant even knows where the hell Syria is? Okay, let alone the plight of the Christians in the country. So a large part of the fault lies with Christians, especially us Christians here in America.
Yeah, you're right. We have a super chatter here, folks. Thank you all so much. All right, Shauna Fisher with the $20 super chat.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you.
Shortest forever war in the history of the planet. These liberals are eating crow right about now. Is there any limit to how hypocritical and ignorant liberals can be? God bless this channel. It is a fave of mine. Thank you so much. Yes, Yanni with the $10 super chat says, I'm so behind on my current events lately. Thank you all for keeping me up to date with what's going on in the world. You all are beacons of light.
I love the shirt, Yanni.
Yes, she did. She looked beautiful in her shirt. She bought some of the merch, folks, with our merch store, poppinpoliticslive.com, and you can click on shop. All right, we have a couple more super chats, I believe. Let's see here. Steel Toad with the $5 super chat says, love you guys. Islamic law, Sharia, attempts to implement it will result in a disaster for our country. Marxism and globalism must not prevail. Absolutely. And one thing, I know we got to move on, but one thing I don't understand is the Marxism and communism should be in opposition of Islam, shouldn't it? I mean, because I do have some friends that are Muslim, and they're very conservative. They're not for all this secularism and things like that. But here we see many on the left that are Muslim are leftists, are Marxists.
I can answer that.
Yes.
It's a really good question. And really what is happening is that both groups think that they're smarter than the other.
Right.
And each one of them thinks that they will use the other in order to reach their goals. So the communists are using Muslims in order to get them on their side with their calls for equality and whatever other benefits that you will be getting and the more wealth that you will have. And so they're using them for support in order to pull them onto the support for Marxists. And then the Muslims, the Islamists, the fundamentals, they're thinking, okay, I will use this platform as well to get ahead, because one thing about Marxists is that they believe in, complete equality of ethnicities. So they will vote, they will put a Muslim person in charge. And that's what they're hoping to get. And once the Islamists, the radicals are in charge, they will implement the Sharia law. That's their goal. That's the plan that they have.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback a little bit on that, Stalin eventually purged the Bolsheviks. So it's like there's no loyalty from the more Marxist mindset, especially when you get some of these radical personalities in charge. Yeah. So like Yana said, it's just a big self-serving power grab, basically.
Yeah.
But it's true that Muslims will suffer just as much if the Marxists are truly in charge.
Right. Absolutely. And not only just Muslims, but if we're talking about this New York City mayoral race, Jews. So we know that New York City is, has a large Jewish population. outside of Israel. The UN, the global media, Wall Street, it's a large Jewish population. And this guy has put out some very anti-Jew rhetoric. He's compared he's the man who compared globalized the Intifada to the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, a vile insult to his Holocaust history. In 2017, he rapped a song sending love to the Holy Land Five that's convicted for funding Hamas terrorism. Mm-hmm. After October 7th, he went when, of course, innocent Israelis were butchered by Hamas. He said nothing about Hamas, but instead he's blamed Israel. So he is no friend to the Jewish community. And in fact, he's in total opposite. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and see what happens here. And this is another thing I've said for a while, like the Black community, we talk about how many Blacks vote against their own interests. Will the Jewish community come out and vote against this man? Because, he looks like he's coming for that community in New York.
And I'm hoping that would be an eye-opening situation for people who have been voting Democrat for decades. I'm hoping that once they see literally an Islamist, a person who wants to promote Sharia law, I hope this will be an eye-opening.
Yeah.
And think about New York and where they are politically when lecherous old nursing home patient deleter Andrew Cuomo is your best hope. Mm-hmm. That's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, you're right. All right, well, we gotta touch on this last topic of the night. We did not talk about this, but this was all over the news. Hector Padilla. I'm sorry, Jose Padilla. No. Alex Padilla. My fault. I'm so sorry. Yes, Alex Padilla. Vice President J.D. Vance just gave Democrats a reality check in Los Angeles. And while he accidentally called Senator Alex Padilla Jose Padilla, the message was crystal clear. Enough with the political theater, enough with the stunts, and enough with putting America last. Take a look at this. This is clip 11.
Lawmakers who keep getting handcuffed. The New York Times just did a story. They keep getting handcuffed, suggesting that the Trump administration is cracking down on Democrats. Can you comment on that?
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question, but unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't the theater. And that's all it is. I think everybody realizes that's what this is. It's pure political theater. These guys show up. They want to be captured on camera doing something. They want to be able to go back to their far left groups and to say, look, me, I stood up against border enforcement. I stood up against Donald Trump, when all they're really standing up for is for drug cartels to run rampant over our country and sex traffickers to be able to continue to traffic little kids into our country. That's what you're doing when you stand against border enforcement. So I think these guys, we ought to laugh them out of the building. We ought to call them out for doing what they're doing, which is grandstanding. And if they want to work seriously on border enforcement and on keeping their communities safe, the Trump administration's door is wide open. But they're not doing that. They love the grandstanding. They hate law enforcement because they hate the idea of the United States of America having a border. It's a disgrace, but it is what it is. We'll do one more question.
All right. So just to give you guys some backstory if you haven't been following this, Luis Padilla, he is a senator, I believe a senator in Congress, and a Democrat. And he went and pretty much bomb rushed a press conference with Kristi Noem. We have that here, I believe, that video. This is clip 13.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty? How
So there it is. So that was them escorting him out. Now, I have not seen video of anything prior to that. But again, he was trying to speak to Kristi Noem. She's doing a press conference, and instead of him just waiting around, he just tries to kind of like bogart his way in. And then, as you saw, security was escorting him out. So, Nicole, I wanted to get your thoughts on that exchange, that thing first.
I think you're right. I think Hector was doing too much. I feel like, listen, there's protocol to this, and he very well knows what the protocol is. Alex is his name, Padilla.
Right.
Alejandro is his name.
Oh, Alejandro. Oh.
Alejandro was doing too much, and he was doing it. At that moment, every Democrat was trying to get arrested. They were trying to have the quote unquote street cred of having handcuffs on it and make a TikTok of them being body slammed to the ground and handcuffed and drug off like the thugs and punks that they are. Well, big backfire, because here's the vice president of the United States calling him Juan, like it's his name. And what's so funny is half of America was like, I didn't know we had a Juan Padilla. It kind of stuck. But JD was right in what he said. If you want to talk, there's a way to do that. If you want to participate, there's a way to do that. That's not the way to do that. And it will result in that every single time, regardless of what party you're from. The last person I saw to get away with bum rushing a stage like that was the guy who threw the shoes, the slides at George Bush, when he was overseas.
Oh, right.
And, George was like, whoo. Then he threw the second shoe and missed him too. That's the last time somebody was able to get away with bum rushing, top security people or top elected people in this nation. This is not going to work. And the Democrats eventually will learn that.
Yeah. Tyrone, do you think that he went too far in with that press conference?
Well, yeah, all he had to do was say to an aide, hi, I am Senator Manolo Padilla, and I'm here to, I have a question. Can I ask the secretary? And she said, if he had identified himself, I would have said, cool, ask you a question. But think about this, though. He shows up in street clothes screaming, I'm a senator, and moving forward in an aggressive manner, okay?
Yeah.
To the secretary of DHS. It's like, he looked threatening. He's a big guy, okay? He's going on, I'm a senator, yeah, and I'm Joan of Arc, okay? Get the hell out of here. So they did the absolute right thing. The Democrats, they are not interested in policy. They're not interested in articulating an agenda. They're only interested in cheap theatrics, okay? And so he got thrown on his ass, handcuffed, and escorted out of the building, which is appropriate. Now, I will give some red meat to I didn't know the NAACP still existed, but those types. LaMonica MacGyver got charged. All right, so let them run with that for the next 2 weeks.
All right. Right, she did. Yes, she did. And I'm glad she did. Yeah, they need to start charging these people for this nonsense. And I want to get you in on this, Yana. Before I do, now I want to contrast what we just saw, him bogarting his way. He's doing that thing where somebody's holding you back and you turning your body around, like a slinky, so they can't get a good hold on you. I mean, he's all over them. Okay. So much so they had to handcuff him. But here he is on MSNBC, and he's almost brought to tears. This is clip 12.
Currently the president of the Senate where you serve. He also went to Yale. I assume that he knows your name is Alex Padilla. Your response to him calling you Jose?
Oh, he knows my name. He knows my name. Look, sadly, it's just an indicator of how petty and unserious this administration is. But he's the vice president of the United States. You think he'd take the situation in Los Angeles more seriously? You think maybe he'd take a moment to talk to some of the families who have been impacted, have been terrorized, to feel what's really going on the ground. You saw him shaking hands with Marines, but did he listen to the Marines? Because we have, the report after report of the Marines, so many of the Marines themselves that don't want to be there. That's not why they enlisted. Or if not the migrant families, how about the employers who I know are speaking up because they're concerned about their workforce? We've got a lot of important work to do, but this is how the vice president chooses to act, and that says a lot.
So, Yana, is he believable?
Well, Humberto here is crying. I know. And he just wants some pity for himself for what? Like for what exactly? I don't understand. And he's another Marxist.
Right.
His parents came here legally.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they had him here. I'm not sure, but so now he wants to lift up illegal aliens, and this is his base. The people who come here legally, who break the law. He is not to be trusted, and what he did in there when he stormed that press conference is theatrics.
Right.
It's just theatrics. He was screaming something. He's walking towards the podium, and so and then he goes and he cries for some reason. I mean, he's just another Marxist who wants to, and they're from Mexico, his family, and Marxism has infiltrated a lot of countries, including Mexico. So we have to be really careful with people who come here and bring ideas that are not American, and then they come to power.
Agreed. Ramon was doing too much.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, and he found out the hard way, because I mean, they bent him up like a pretzel. You know, on that, you know, they rolled him like a tortilla and handcuffed him, and they were not playing around. So you can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, we know there's a way, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And he knew that. He wanted the publicity, he wanted the news, and he got it. And JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance, was not falling for it. Now, I do think it was an accident. He didn't mean to call him Jose. You know, I think it was definitely an accident. But I mean, for him to make such a big deal about it, going on MSNBC and crying, I mean, I don't know how many people have messed up my name. So it's just, you know, it's ridiculous. It really is. He's like a man.
Well, Obama called his wife Michael. So I don't know how stuff like that happens.
Well, yep, that's true. That is true.
And I have the classic liquor store holdup name, so I've gotten over, you know, the name thing. You know, when COVID happened, I walked into a liquor store and I did not have my mask on. And the guy said, "Hey, man, you got to wear a mask." I said, "So look at how the world has changed. You want Tyrone masked in the liquor store."
Right. Well, you got some. Luckily for you, Tyrone, your last name is not Brown or Jenkins or Johnson.
If your last name was Jenkins, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. If you were Tyrone Jenkins or Tyrone Brown or Tyrone Johnson, then you know every time you come on here, instead of us playing the pop and politics theme music, we'd play the good times. We have that music playing for you. On the water.
Right.
Take it away where you can. Temporarily lay it on.
Good times.
Yeah, that's what we would bring that on when you come on. But we don't do that because you're keys. So that makes it. All right, folks. We are at the end of our time tonight. Thank you guys so much. Folks, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. We need you to do that. It really helps get us out to a wider audience, and we are trying to hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of summer. So please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? As you can see, we are MAGA to the bone, patriots, Christians, we love God, we love our country, we believe in it, and so if you are that, if you are faith-based, if you are a patriot, you are in the right place. So thank you guys, and we like to have fun, just like somebody just chatted. I think it was somebody just chatted, just me, I think said, or somebody said we like to have fun. Yes, we do. We like to have fun.
The S-Files, was it?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, was it S-Files? Yes. And thank you to our moderators tonight, Allie, S-Files. You all do a wonderful job. Yes, yes, of keeping the chat going. I see you guys went in on Candace Owens. Oh, my gosh. She's in Tennessee itching. She is itching all over the place tonight from talk about her. So, but we are praying for Candace. We hope that she comes back around. So definitely we are. And all the panicins that are supposed to be conservative, supposed to be MAGA, and that really threw President Trump to the wayside. We're hoping everybody comes back, and we need a strong coalition for the midterms. All right. So Nicole, can you provide some final words for the night for the audience?
One of the things that has not been lost on me in my travels to Charlotte over the weekend was the number of young people who are now working their summer jobs. Mm-hmm. So can I say, adults, pack your patience, okay? 2 reasons. One, it's better than them sitting at home in their mother's houses, not doing anything. And 2, think back to when it was you, when it was your first job and you really didn't kind of get it yet, it was still kind of working. So sometimes you have to just kind of help them grow. It's for everybody's benefit. So what? They mess up your order. 9 times out of 10, they give you more than you're supposed to have because they just don't know what they're doing. But this is the way that we work with the next wave of truly great Americans. Show them grace in the moments when they're struggling. And someday when we're older and grayer, maybe that grace will come back to us.
Absolutely. All right, folks. On that note, we will see you all on Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here on Pop and Politics. Again, tomorrow you can catch the All American Talk Show at All American Talk. They are going to have a tremendous show tomorrow. Again, having an Iranian on talking about that supports President Trump. She's going to talk about why that is. And then also Terrace Todd from Project 21 will be on. And he is Pastor Terrace Todd. And he has a message for the NAACP, who has disinvited President Trump after 40 years of legacy of inviting the president to speak with them. They have uninvited. They say they don't want to invite President Trump. So he has a message for them. So you got to check out at All American Talk tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Again, I'll be on Thursday at KJ Christian Conservative. And like I said, you got to check us out. Our recent upload where we talked about Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz. We brought the truth, biblical truth. So certainly check that out on at KJ Christian Conservative. And then on Saturdays, we have at Just the Guys podcast. You get a male perspective on from a conservative point of view at Just the Guys podcast. Gotta check them out. Their Saturday show also featuring Tyrone Jenkins Johnson Brown. He is on that show, and it is such a great show. Definitely check them out at Just the Guys podcast. All right, folks. Again, praying you have warm days and starry nights. Good night.